There is a particular kind of financial loss that never appears on any statement. It does not show up as a negative number. It does not trigger any alert or notification. It simply does not appear at all, because it represents money that was always yours, that you were always entitled to, and that you never collected. Not because you were ineligible, not because anyone took it from you, but because nobody pointed at it and said clearly, "This is yours. Go get it." I have spent a long time thinking about why this kind of loss is so common among people over 50, and I have come to believe it happens because of a fundamental misunderstanding about what financial entitlement actually means in practice. Most people I have worked with over the years hear that word and think of it as something passive, something that arrives on its own, the way a paycheck arrives, or the way a quarterly statement appears without any effort on your part. They assume that if something is truly entitled to them, it will somehow find its way to them without requiring active pursuit. They assume the system is set up to surface what they are owed. It is not. And that assumption, applied to a wide and genuinely substantial category of financial benefits that belong specifically to people over 50, costs those people real money every single year without anyone ever noticing. Not the people losing it, not the institutions holding it, and certainly not the systems that administer it. The truth is that most financial benefit programs, whether tax reductions, government assistance, employer-sponsored retiree benefits, insurance adjustments, or unclaimed property, are designed around one fundamental assumption, that the eligible person will apply. They are not designed to seek you out. They are not designed to notify you when you become eligible. They sit, structured and funded and entirely real, waiting for a claim that in many cases never comes. The gap between what exists and what gets claimed is enormous, and it exists almost entirely because eligible people do not know to look. I want to tell you about a woman named Vivian. She was 61 years old when she first came to me, a recently retired school teacher who had been careful and conservative with money her entire working life. She had no significant debt. She had a modest pension that covered her essentials. She had a reasonable amount in savings for someone at her income level. She was not in crisis, and she was not coming to me because anything was obviously wrong. She was coming because something felt incomplete. She had the persistent, quiet sense that her financial picture was not showing her everything it should be showing her. That somewhere in the space between what she had earned and what she had received, something was missing. She was right, and what we found when we looked carefully was not one large gap. It was a collection of smaller ones, each individually modest, each individually the kind of thing that could be overlooked without too much difficulty, but together forming a picture that shifted how Vivian understood her own financial situation. She had been eligible for a property tax relief program offered by her state for homeowners who met certain age and income thresholds. She met both. She had met both for years, and she had never applied, not because she had decided against it, but because she had never known it existed. Nobody had told her. It was not advertised in any channel she regularly encountered. It was simply there, available, with an application form and a deadline, and a meaningful annual benefit, waiting for a claim that had never come. She was also eligible for a specific prescription medication pricing program. Not Medicaid, not a charity program, but a structured benefit available to people in her income bracket who enrolled during a specific window each year. The enrollment required a form. The form required knowing the program existed. Vivian had not known, and so the form had never been completed, and the benefit had never been received. Across multiple years of her retirement, during which she had been paying full price when she did not need to. Her previous employer, a school district she had worked for over 2 decades, offered a retiree health care reimbursement benefit. Not a large amount, but a real one, available from the first year of retirement for any qualifying retiree who submitted the appropriate annual documentation. Vivian had received the initial packet when she retired. She had not understood that it required active yearly renewal, and so, for the 2 years she had been retired, that money had sat unclaimed, with a portion of it expiring permanently with each passing year. And then there were two older financial accounts, one from an employer in her early career, one from a savings program she had participated in during a period of her life she had largely moved on from, that had been transferred to her state's unclaimed property registry when she had changed addresses without updating the relevant institutions. They were not large amounts, but they were real amounts, and they were in her name. And they had been there the entire time, earning nothing and serving no one, simply waiting for her to show up and ask for them. When we calculated what all of this represented, the benefits she could begin claiming immediately, the unclaimed property she could recover, and what those resources would mean to her financial picture over the next 5 years, the number was not life-changing in the dramatic sense, but it was meaningful in a real sense. It was the difference between a retirement that felt adequately funded and a retirement that felt comfortably funded. And the thing that struck Vivian most when we finished was not how much there had been. It was how long it had been there. Sitting, available, waiting. What Vivian's situation illustrates is something that I believe applies to nearly every person over 50 who has not recently taken a deliberate, systematic look at the full landscape of benefits and entitlements available to them. The landscape is genuinely larger than most people realize. Property tax reductions that apply at specific ages, prescription drug programs with annual enrollment windows, retiree benefits from former employers that require active claims rather than automatic disbursement, utility assistance programs available to fixed-income households, insurance premium adjustments tied to age or health thresholds, retirement account provisions, catch-up contributions, modified withdrawal rules that shift significantly after 50 and that many people never access because they assume the rules they learned earlier still apply. And unclaimed property databases in virtually every state and country, holding billions of dollars in assets that belong to living people who simply do not know to look. None of this is secret. All of it is accessible. The problem is not access. The problem is awareness, and the specific motivated action that awareness requires. The system does not come to you. You have to go to it, knowing what to ask for, knowing where to look, and being willing to do the administrative work that claiming what you are owed requires. Vivian, the last time we spoke, said something I have returned to many times since. She said that what bothered her most about what we had found was not the money she had missed. It was the assumption she had been carrying, the belief that if something was truly hers, it would have found a way to reach her. She called it the most expensive assumption of her financial life. Here is what I want you to do this week. Not next month, this week. Pull up the unclaimed property database for your state, your country, every place you have ever lived, and search your name. It takes minutes. Then call your most recent former employer and ask specifically whether there are any retiree benefits, reimbursements, or programs for which you qualify that require an active claim. Those two actions alone, for a remarkable number of people over 50, turn up something real, something that was always there, something that simply needed someone to ask.